Welcome to the Enlighten podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Enlighten podcast. Today I have a brand new guest to introduce you to. Dr. Brett Jones is a chiropractor and he has managed to heal a ruptured Achilles tendon through ways that completely defy Western medicine. And we're going to get into all of the interesting mindsets and belief systems that need to be in place in order for the body to fully heal itself the way it was always intended. Brett, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Of course, I found you through Jamal, which he's been on my podcast, and I loved your interview that you did with him in the summer. And you recently went through a pretty big injury.
I did. Yeah. We'll start here. I mean, Western medicine is the biggest cause of disease and sickness in the world. So I think it's important to know that we've all been brainwashed, since birth to give our power away to these quote unquote doctors. And really, it's not doctors anymore. It's business administrators and pharmaceutical companies that really promote their education and promote their ways, but they're killing more people than they're helping. And they've completely destroyed our trust in our own body's ability to heal and be well naturally, even though that's how we were designed. We come into this world with innate capacities and innate power to heal ourselves. That is, it's just crazy for me to think, that here we are, a culmination of 70 trillion cells that started from a sperm cell, right, in an egg cell. And those two come together, a collection of cells. Those two come together and they create you, and how much harmony and how much divine is needed in that process. And yet when we have an injury, we surrender our power. And when we have a fucking cough, we think we need a Robitussin. We fucking have a stomach ache, we think we need Pepto-Bismol. And it's really silly if you actually pull yourself away from it and look at it. And I'll say this, but here's the thing. When you got a headache, you think you need fucking Tylenol, right? When you have inflammation, you think you need ibuprofen. So I live this way of life, and it is a way of life. And I'm not saying it's an easy way of life, because you have to kind of go against the grain of what's been created for these last, 150 years or so. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going back. I come from a path of disease in a lot of family trauma and a lot of suffering, and a lot of challenge and a lot of disconnection. And, I started chiropractic school in 2010. So for the last 12 years, once I started that path, I committed that, I'm going to live a natural way, which to me means no over-the-counter medications, no prescription pills, and the least Western medicine intervention possible. And, for me, for the last 12 years, it means I've had no Western medical intervention. I've had no Western medical processes. And what you realize is all they've done is really appropriate and colonize nature, and then try to make synthetic formulas that they then put patents on to charge money for it. But all of the healing properties that exist in these pharmaceutical medications and in these over-the-counter, they first had to learn it from nature. Right. And then they had to try to synthesize. So basically what you have is genetically modified pills. That's that. And people trying to heal through your gut. And I think it's fucking absolutely insane. And so for me, it's like, even now, don't get me wrong. Like when I, so a little bit more about the injury that you brought up. August 6th is actually for Dr. Jamal's birthday. And I think that's how you said you found me. For Dr. Jamal's birthday, we went paintballing. And it wasn't a paintball injury. I had just completed Sundance, which is a native ceremony, 4 days, no food, no water, dancing all day. And so I was 2 weeks post that, and I was still, in recovery from that. And there were some other things going on. Yeah, I think it's like been playing for like 5 minutes. We finished one round, about to start another round. I'm legitimately just in a runner stance and then go to take off. Like I hadn't even took a step yet. And when I tried to generate the power to take off, I felt like it was like a shotgun that went off in my ankle. And I was like, well, did I get sniped like from across the park? So I look at my foot. I'm like, is there paint on my foot? I'm like, no paint, but I see my foot dangling. I was like, oh man, there's something going on here. And as I tried to take a step, I realized, yeah, that feels like an Achilles tendon injury. And so went off the field, got home. I think I ended up getting like a compression bandage on it. So I compressed and I elevated. By the way, don't ice acute injuries. That came out, the whole RICE method came out. I think it was Dr. Mendelsohn in the 1970s, like it was on like a sports medicine textbook. That's where he introduced the concept of RICE, and he actually retracted the ice part of it in 2018. What they found was over time that it's actually ice will retard the healing process. And so you're not supposed to ice. It's one of my acupuncturist mentor of mine, Dr. Chris Pearson. He says you ice dead things. It's true. So inflammation is actually a good thing, acute, because you want it there for a reason. And so, I rested it. I put it up, and then it was a few days later. I think 3 days later, I had the MRI, and it was a full Achilles tendon rupture. So meaning that completely ruptured, and I had a 0.8 centimeter gap. And at the time, I was unaware of anybody that had healed it naturally, but to me, it made sense that the body was capable. I've been taking care of a lot of cactus since I've been out here in Tucson, and I get to see them root, right? And in order for them to root, you have to let them scar, right? So you let them scar, and then after they scar, you can plant them back in and they root, and it's just like dealing with cactus, we are nature, we're not apart from it. And so to me, I guess this will come to the first part, because I was in the process of creating something called healing codes, which is released now, but at the time it hadn't released and it was still in development. And so I feel like I had to put a lot of my shit to test. And one of the things you gotta put to test is a knowing, right? So when it comes to, can I heal this? Right. So this has got to be the big question that comes up when we have a big injury or we got a big healing process that's happening, or a disease or a challenge or whatever it is. Can I heal this? To me is like one of the first questions. And in order to get clear on that question, you got to get clear with your connection to God and Creator. I mean, that's all it is, And so based on your current level of development, based on your current level of awareness, based on your current level of consciousness, based on who you are, based on what you're capable of, based on your resources or resourcefulness, you have to ask yourself that question. Am I capable? When I say am I capable, I'm saying am I capable naturally? Because here's the thing, when you don't have the power, and the only reason you wouldn't have the power is because you don't have the connection. Right? The power comes from God, and God is within, right? And so based on that relationship that you have with, Takashala or Creator or God or the divine matrix or the cosmic intelligence or whatever you want to call it, doesn't fucking matter, is that you have to be able to ask yourself that question and gain clarity. Am I capable? Okay. And then that question got answered, and it actually got answered before I got the results of the MRI. Even though I had a feeling it was ruptured, and I got the results of the MRI, I said, all right. And then it gave me a time. It said, yeah, you can heal this naturally in 3 months. I said, well, fuck. All right. So now becomes, okay, it says I can. So I have to now commit. And when you commit, you have to, at the time it was faith. And why did I say faith? Well, faith, because I'm stepping into a large unknown. Because again, I didn't have a lot of references of people that had done that before.
Yeah.
If you ask most Western medicine people, which I don't, by the way, they would say you need surgery. And so it's funny, like even a lot of the natural health community were coming at me like, yo, like I'm with you on a lot of things, man. But the Achilles tendon, I don't know, man. Like I think you're gonna want surgery on that one. I said, all right, well, you obviously don't have the connection I have, right? So faith. And then the other thing is like, okay, well, it's going to require time, energy, and space and focus. Time, energy, space, and focus. So what I've come to an awareness about is based on how unfamiliar or how unknown, and really what also puts like a level of improbability into it, right, is the inverse of how much focus you need. I'm sorry, it's actually directly related to how much focus you need. So meaning that, say I'm like stepping into a 90% unknown, right? A 90%, which has a chance of improbability. It's going to require 90% of my focus. I mean, 90% of your focus throughout the fucking day. And this is why a lot of people don't heal, right? A lot of people don't heal is because they're trying to heal on convenience. And this is the bullshit Western medicine taught them, right? That I have a symptom, so all I need is this pill or this injection or this fucking surgery, and I'm going to heal. And by the way, symptom, right, alleviation is not healing. And that's where people also get twisted. And so what I found is healing is often inconvenient, meaning that you actually have to embrace or go into a lot of the aspects of yourself that are uncomfortable, and or you just have to give it enough time, energy, space, and focus to heal. So you're saying, like, why do I keep attracting all the same bullshit in my life? Or why do I keep attracting all these similar challenges? Or why do I keep attracting all these similar dysfunctional relationships? Or why do I keep blah, 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 blah? It's because you haven't got to the core of why it exists in the first place. In order to heal, you have to reveal the lesson beyond the symptom or beyond the challenge or beyond the pain. And so for me, I had to look deep into, well, why am I experiencing right now an Achilles injury? And it's not something that I share with people, but I came to that answer. There were some things going on in my life that needed addressed, and there were some shifts that needed to happen. And in order for them to happen, I had to get sidelined. So I was sidelined out of my chiropractic practice for like 3 months. But what was happening, it was just calling me into the ability to no longer just lead from the front, which I've done for the last 12 years, but actually to lead and support. I have a team there that needs support, that needs coaching, that needs mentoring, that needs all of these things. And what's it look like to have a successful chiropractic practice without me at the center of it, without me at the front of it. And so, I had to work through those things and I had to work through some other things. And, but yeah, long story short, is it healed? I can go into all the strategies, but to me, the path is always going to be unique. I think people always want a fucking formula. Give me the formula of what you did, or give me the recipe of what you did. And I said, yeah, there's definitely principles, and I teach those principles. There's principles in the work, and those principles don't change. So the principle is a principle. But as far as what you actually do, it'll be based on your resources and your resourcefulness. But I believe, regardless of situation, regardless of circumstance, you have a capacity to heal based on your connection. You're based on your ability to put it in play. So yeah, there was a lot at one time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I think the most important thing to touch on is your connection and your faith, because like you said, you don't have faith because you already know everything. You have faith because there's so much you don't know, and there has to be some level of trust of something much bigger than you and at work. And I think that when your faith is truly tested is how deeply into yourself are you willing to go?
Yeah. So there's a line that I really like, came from the seminar company I used to go to called Dynamic Essentials. And they said a faith that can't be tested can't be trusted. Right. And so when we're trying to operate, with because again, this is a lot of us have potential beliefs, right? But it hasn't been embodied, and so to me, like to move from knowledge and to wisdom, you need embodiment. And so even for me, like when I was going to teach, a lot of these principles of healing codes, there definitely was wisdom there. And there was a level of belief, based on theory that hadn't had the opportunity to be fully embodied wisdom because it hadn't been fully experienced. And so, the Achilles tendon healing was a test, it was a test of the principles. It was a test of the faith, if you will. And very difficult. Now, with that said, when you're entering unknown, what you're going to be dealing with is a level of uncertainty, and in that uncertainty can be doubt and can be fear. If doubt and fear win the battle of your conscious mind, they also win in your they win in you not healing. And so that's where the focus comes in.
Yeah, because I mean the body will only follow the mind. That's what I learned throughout my journey, is that the body is just following whatever the mind believes.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're working in union. Yes. They're
yes,
working in
yeah,
union. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you can utilize the body to lead the mind, right? So they work both ways,
yeah.
right? So we can change our physiological state to help change our mental state, right? And the quality of the thoughts that we have coming in is based on the quality of the energy that we are. When we are in low energy, we'll have lower quality thoughts, because the mind is not brain. I think a lot of people confuse this, right? The mind's not brain. The mind is actually I teach 3 elements of mind. And there's way more, but one of the elements of mind that we have is in regard to our educated mind, which is that which we've experienced within this lifetime, which is our associated with our ego, our identity, our personality, and our personal reality, right? And so, meaning that that mind that we often consider the main mind, which it's not. Again, it has nothing to do with our actual brain necessarily, but our level of organization of energy of ourself and the previous experiences that we've had. They create our geometry, if you will, our energetic structure, and that's how we funnel thought. This is very
Yeah,
important.
I look at the mind as almost like the higher programs that the brain as like a computer utilizes. It's almost like the brain is just like an equipment. It's equipment basically, but like the mind is almost like these etheric programs. It's not even part of your physical body.
It's flows of energy. So meaning that your brain is a transducer, similar to how the TV set, right, doesn't have all of the programs or the information or the imagery or the sounds, right? It's picking that up through the environment, and then it's coming usually through a satellite now, right? Or it used to come through cable, and before that it was, the antenna. And so it's coming through a satellite, and then it's reaching your TV. Then your TV has the technology to create a picture and to create sound. That's similar to how your brain works with your mind,
Yeah.
right? Now, the mind, again, that we most commonly reference is that which has had this personal experience within this lifetime, but that's actually a very, 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 very limited mind. The little bit larger mind, I say larger mind, is the soul mind, right? And the soul mind is now, again, the soul has existed since existence. So when we are connecting to the soul mind, we are now connecting to energy and information that goes far beyond this lifetime. And this is really every being that the soul has incarnated with, and all of the intelligence that it's had since the start of life. And there we gain a lot more information. How do you know you're operating between one or the other? I talk about this in my book, Know Who the Fuck You Are. They sound different, because every time we think, we also sound, or we create imagery, or we create words and images. And so often, we're often used to hearing about that voice inside of our head, the busy mind, right, that has 88 thoughts every second or whatever it is. Most people have never actually sounded it out loud. So there is a sound to your egoic, personal, educated mind that's existence is this existence to this lifetime. And what I found for me is that voice is a little bit higher pitch.
Interesting.
Because most people never sound it out loud, but it's talking to you all the time. So if you've never done this, it's a great practice. It's like, just get still, get silent, and then actually voice it out.
It's interesting you say that. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. But whenever I'm getting like intuitive messages that are clearly not coming from me, it's a softness. The voice is always softer, and it's not pushy. It's very subtle. Because the truth never has to be pushy.
So discernment is the key, right? And so you got to be able to discern, where is this coming from, right? Because we have negative aspects of mind. And this is the beauty and the curse of the human being, right? Is that we have this really elaborate brain and prefrontal cortex and neocortex that allows us for higher reasoning and judgment and choice. But it also can take us negative just as easy as it can take us positive, right? And that's why, part of our path is to continually reconnect to the greater self, to the higher self. And so, like you said, the soul will sound different. And for you, it's softer, right? It's not, it probably doesn't carry like that tone of anxiety and worry and like it has to happen right now.
Very reassuring. It's just, it's very grounding. It just feels very light.
Mm-hmm. And so for me, like when I hear soul, like it comes in like fucking like Billy D. Williams, like cool motherfucker. Like it's like a lot lower in tone. But there's more, right? And so those are the main two I think that you want to work on discernment for. And then from there, we also have the spirit, right? Which is the all consciousness. Soul is a fragment of spirit, kind of like a ray of the sun or a wave of the ocean, that it's part of, right? But it's not necessary. It's part of the whole, but not the whole. Whereas spirit represents all consciousness. Now, in that is as much danger as there is blessing, but there also becomes an ability to really connect with a variety of sources. So for some, they'll focus on potentially different archangels or ascended masters or guardians or there's all kinds of, people get into all kinds of different things, but it's all about understanding the energy of that and then organizing yourself to be kind of like tuning the radio station, if you will. And one of the best ways to tune the radio station is through breath. So to me, our breath is how we tune our energy and consciousness to receive in different frequencies. And so there's a variety of ways that you can do that. But laying that out just as a basis for the mind as a concept, because a lot of people get lost in mind as being brain. So I think that's at least a good start there. The body can lead the mind, and the mind can lead the body, and they work in kind of tandem there. But exactly that, what our mind believes, gives us a great capacity in our body. And when our mind is struggling to believe, we can utilize our body and put it in different physiological states, again, through breath and through movement and through meditation and other things, to create a harmonic mind where we can actually receive better thoughts. But this is important because this has kind of been a big download this year, is we have to understand that the quality of our thoughts would be based on the quality of our energy. And so a lot of times people make dumbass decisions when they're in low quality energy. And so I always say, don't make a big decision on your life when the quality of energy is low.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out how to get in a high energy state to then make especially when it's big decisions in your life, because a lot of people make bad decisions for their lives in low energy because you're attracting different thought streams. And we see this possible. And there's like so many just easy examples. But I don't think it's necessary at this moment. Yeah.
Well, it's true. I think we're constantly in reception and transmission, body, mind, soul, heart. It's all got to work coherently together. And, you've talked about too, how even going back to one of the things I wanted to touch on even earlier was this idea of symptoms and people healing the symptoms, but really what they're doing is they're masking the messenger. And the messenger is the body's constantly talking to you and communicating with you. One of those ways is through different forms of pain, discomfort, dis-ease. Were there any sort of messages that you received from your body that were really critical in you understanding how to map out your kind of healing path?
100%. Yeah, so I took no painkillers or no anti-inflammatory drugs during the whole thing. And for exactly that reason, is that I wanted to be able to feel what my body needed.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons people don't heal is because they don't feel, right? I often say in order to heal it, you have to feel it. You have to feel it. And you addressed, I'll talk a little bit on the symptom thing and I'll come back to that as far as like, what were the symptoms that I was feeling and how are they leading me to what was needed. But, yeah, let's clear up the confusion in regards to symptom management. Again, this is the brainwashing from Western medicine, right? Because they built their whole model on allopathy. So just so we know, allopathic medicine, and it exists in almost all healing professions now. I don't want to say healing professions, it exists in all health professions because they're not healing. Is the treatment of a symptom, right? So, and people are so accustomed to it now. That even traditional methods that were not allopathic are now allopathic. Chiropractic being one of them. There's definite forms of allopathic chiropractic, even though that's not its design. Acupuncture did not start allopathic, but now especially if you come, in the United States and I'd say really good portion of the world where you receive acupuncture now, it's allopathic, meaning that they're going to ask you about your symptoms, and then their path of success is, did your symptoms get better? Osteopathy. I mean, it's really everywhere. So many people are focused on symptom and symptom relief, and then they're thinking that they're doing a good job when the symptoms are better, and it's absolute bullshit. Your symptom relief has nothing to do with your healing. Nothing. Why? Because again, people don't understand what the fuck healing is. Healing is revealing your wholeness. Healing is revealing your wholeness. In order to heal, you have to learn the lesson to why the symptoms were there in the first place. If why is not a question getting asked when you're talking about your symptoms, I can guarantee you're not in a place of healing. You're in a place of allopathy. And when you steal the symptom, you steal the lesson. And that's what people need to understand. Meaning that, okay, for instance, I was having heartburn, right? And so I took a heartburn medication, and now my heartburn is better, or I don't feel my heartburn as much anymore. Why the fuck was it there? If you're not learning why you're experiencing heartburn, then there's a problem, right? You're not healing. You're just masking the symptom, just like everybody else, right? And you're saying, oh, I'm better, I'm healed. You ain't healed because you didn't learn anything. Right? You have to learn in order to heal. So what was I experiencing? So I would say in the beginning, the first day was not a lot of pain. It was actually just like a lot of instability. And so for people that don't know, the Achilles tendon is the most powerful tendon in the human body. It holds so much mechanical load and tension. And that's why, it's like, I'm not joking when I said like a shotgun went off in every bone. There's 26 bones in the foot. Every bone in my foot cavitated, meaning it made noise. And you get your power not for your calf muscle. So you have the soleus and the gastrocnemius, but it also has in the continual posterior chain of fascia that gets your like hamstring to fire too. So my whole like back of calf completely flaccid, nothing. There was no tone at all when I ruptured my Achilles tendon. That's why I've also had knee injuries. So I had what's called the unholy triad. It was my senior year in college football, which is ACL, MCL, and medial meniscus. And to me, the Achilles tendon is 10 times harder. The reason for it is because when you tear a ligament of the knee, it's mainly instability, but you still have power. Achilles tendon, I had no stability and no power. So to me, it made it much harder. But from there, I remember the first 3 to 5 days, it is like I could feel where it was ruptured. And I could feel if my foot went into like too much dorsiflexion. So even going close to a neutral, it would like rip apart again. Cause like it was starting already to want to reattach. Cause it got really swollen. It got really hot. It was inflamed. My whole leg was a different color. And then I would say it's day 7-ish. I could feel like when it was starting to actually harden in that area, but the whole quality of pain and how the pain was and where it was, it let me know what position my foot could be in. If it needed support in regards to either tape or like a compression sleeve or like ace bandage. It let me know if I could put any weight on my foot or not put any weight on my foot. I was in crutches for 7 weeks. And so for the most part, I couldn't put much weight on my foot at all. My whole heel pad was like 10 out of 10 pain. I remember like when I would go from a horizontal position to a vertical position, as blood came back into that lower extremity, it was extremely painful. Mm-hmm. But it let me know exactly what I could do and what I couldn't do, how to support it, what was too much, like too much being upright versus, needing to go more horizontal, when I need to get elevated. I was having a hard time with like getting like limp. So like my whole toes were swollen. So like they like all sausage toes, and like I had no gaps between my toes. It was like week like 6 or 7, my whole foot peeled because it had expanded so much, kind of like skin, like how a snake loses the skin. Wow. It started peeling. My whole foot started peeling. So it's kind of miraculous to watch, just like all aspects of it.
Was there any part of you that was worried at any point, like that, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, to me, again, because of the uncertainty, there's always the background doubt and fear, but like I knew that if that came in, that I had no chance.
Yeah.
So it became like one of the biggest tests of focus for me. Because like the focus is on the healing, the focus is on everything that I could be doing to help it. And I would say the first 6 weeks, 10 to 12 hours a day, I was spent on healing the Achilles. 10 to 12 hours a day, meaning that I was doing PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequency, 2 to 3 hours a day. I was doing sauna for an hour. I would cold plunge. I would do pool aerobics. I would be in a grounding pit, for like 20, 30 minutes. I was taking Epsom salt baths. I was receiving acupuncture, chiropractic. I was seeing Dr. Sean Drake up in Phoenix, Arizona, and he was doing all kinds of different stuff with me. Mainly PEMF, and also because he let me borrow his PEMF to help. And then he was also doing, this is called shockwave, which is ultra. It's like kind of ultra sound frequencies. Mm-hmm. They kind of help blast up like scar tissue and stuff like that. And then he's doing like some manual work on me as well. Had Reiki, had energy healings, like you name it. But it was like legitimately 10 to 12 hours a day.
Did you use any sort of your mind in a sense of visualization in the healing process?
Yeah. So the whole time, it's like you have to be able to see it heal, right? So I teach this in the program Healing Codes, which I do want to mention, definitely before we finish. Like to me, like a top tier question in healing is, can you see it? Mm-hmm. Right. And then can you feel it? Because you say like, okay, I have this connection, and I first maybe started with like, am I capable? Right. And to me, that's based on your connection with Creator. Am I capable? Based on, again, a bunch of different factors. And then can you see it? Because to me, healing is a form of creation, right? In many ways. Mm-hmm. So the same skills that we utilize to create in this world and manifest in this world is the kind of the same ways that we utilize to heal in a lot of ways anyway. And so you had to be able to see it. So the visualization was really like what I'd be able to do again, because again, I wasn't able to walk. I couldn't walk for over 7 weeks. I could take like little faux steps, right? But not really walking. So like being able to see myself run, being able to see myself bike, being able to see myself lift again, being able to see myself do the kettlebell swings, being able to see like go on hikes, being able to see myself doing those things at a high level function. And then what's that feel like, right? And so what's it feel like when I'm able to be as athletic as I like to be, and that was kind of like the hardest thing for me is like, I know how much of a relationship I have with my mental health to my like exercise and fitness.
Yeah.
It really helps keep me mentally well. And so that was like a concern, it was like, I want to be able to, maintain a lot of the tools that I put in place to stay mentally well. And so, yeah, exactly that. So when it comes to like the meditation and the focus and the visualization, it was that being able to see myself doing the things that I'd be able to do if the Achilles was healed.
Yeah.
So not so much. I think there's a little bit, definitely on, okay, what's happening with the actual Achilles, and a little visualization. Okay, right now, like, it's starting to come together. And like I said, I felt it, which is really cool, because like for a while, again, I because I had no attachment, I couldn't fire my calf at all. So no gastrocnemius, no soleus engagement. It just was flaccid. And I think I want to say it was like only like 20, maybe 20 days in, that I was able to start to get a little bit of activation. I was able to like kind of raise my toes up a little bit. And so it didn't take that long, but I remember like it was very distinct. It was like around day 14, I could feel like it kind of created a hard cast in the area that I had the separation. And then I could feel it working, and it started to get really hot in that area. I was like, oh yeah, it's going in there. It's making the reconnection right now. And so that, again, that's, to me, that's the coolest thing about, again, being able to feel, is that you can feel if it's working or not working, or what it needs.
And the feeling is so important. I mean, Joe Dispenza talks about it all the time. And like, if you can literally feel it, that is just so crucial in actually manifesting and creating. The reason why I asked you if you were visualizing is because, I used to be a massage therapist, did massage therapy for like 15 years. And I'm originally from Canada, and up there, our course curriculum was like 2,200 hours, which is a lot more than everywhere else in the world. And
wow.
I had to go, and plus I did like 2 years of kinesiology in university prior to that. So I understood a lot of the anatomy and the physiology. And when I started doing my own healing, like I've been in my own healing journey since I was 20, because I found a naturopath for, basically at that age, I had contracted like HPV, which back then no one really knew what it was. And my naturopath was like, well, it's just a virus. We got to find out why your body's holding on to it, and then we'll figure out how we're going to release it. And so my whole journey has been very much like yours, where I would never take Tylenol for a headache, or I would never take anti-inflammatories for when there was inflammation. I was like, okay, I want to know my body's trying to communicate something with me. But I found that, a lot of interesting things that I've been able to do in my own healing process has been for me be able to go into my body and actually see the cells, know how everything looks on the inside for the most part, and use that to create a visualization. So I even have like a meditation where it's about like healing, say emotional wounds, is like you going right back to the moment, like you talked about, of the sperm and the egg coming into conception, and taking you right back into your mother's womb and healing energetically, bringing in a lot of like Christ consciousness energy at that moment to kind of heal and permeate that kind of thing. And so I've had a lot of success. I mean, when I was maybe about like 3 or 4 years ago, I found out I had black spots on my cervix, which were likely precancer. And I decided to just heal it very naturally. I was like, I got to find out. My body's trying to tell me something. There's a lot of emotional stuff that a lot to do with my feminine energy that I've been ignoring. I've been pushing down, and I just went into it, and I was like, I'm just going to feel the feelings. I don't know what the feelings are, but I'm going to let them come through. And through that, within a year, all the black spots were gone. And so the reason why I was asking is because I think one of the things that I think is such a missing component in our education system for people is understanding their own bodies, like physically, what it's actually capable of doing. I mean, it's your technology, it's your vessel. You should know it inside out. And when you actually know it, there's so much more you're actually able to understand and utilize in so much of what you're talking about today.
Exactly that. And yeah, congratulations on that. Very, very powerful techniques that you mentioned there. One of the greater healing techniques within chiropractic is called zone healing, which is created by Dr. Thurman Fleet. Not a lot of people know about it, and not a lot of people do it. But it's actually starting to gain a little bit more popularity. It was real popular in the 1930s. I think he passed like in 1960. But the whole concept was actually very simple. And then I want to let this like go to like the simplicity of the, like, to me, healing is also simple. You just have to understand it. And so what he did was he basically created 6 zones, and within each of the zones, you'd have different systems of the body. And so you had the glandular zone, right, which is responsible for all your hormones. You had the circulatory zone, you have the digestive zone, the nerve zone, the musculatory zone, and the circulatory zone. And so based on which zone was out, what the chiropractors would do is they would study what does perfect glandular health look like. And so they created all these like cool like grids. And so basically, if somebody came in and they were experiencing, a glandular deficiency, if you will, then the chiropractor would visualize perfect glandular health while making the adjustment. And it's fucking powerful. Like, it's simple, but it's powerful. And it's exactly that. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. And then what was I talk about? Oh, yes. So we teach at the source what we call our elements of healing class. And in that, we go over, it's an hour and 15-minute class. And I say in that hour and 15-minute class, people will walk away probably with a greater understanding of health and healing than 99% of humanity. And it's hella fucking simple. So what we teach is the foundations and the elements. And I go in depth on this in the program called Healing Codes, as well as Healing Principles. But let me give you these foundations. Let me give you the elements real quick. So the foundations are movement, nourishment, recuperation, and positive mental attitude. So those are the foundations. It doesn't matter what natural health system that exists out there, they're always going to teach those. So those are crucial, right, to your ability to be well naturally. You have to be able to properly move your body, nourish your body, recuperate, and think good thoughts and be present. All right. And then there's also the elements, because we are nature. And this is what we forget, right? We are nature. We're not born into this world, we're born out of it. That's an Alan Watts quote. Right? We're not born into it, we're born out of it. And so all of the things that you see around you when you go outside, they're within you. You're part of it. And so we teach how you are the earth, right? You are the fire, you are the water, you are the air, and you have to honor those elements within yourself to be well and heal naturally. The ego loves complexity. The soul loves simplicity.
Yes.
Okay. And so I'll tell you right now, like, if you're confused about your health, it's not hard. It really is not that hard. Yes. Our little girl. Love you. Go ahead. All right, love you. Can you close the door, baby? Thank you. All right, sorry. So yeah, ego loves complexity. The soul loves simplicity. The keys to natural health are not hard. But people make them harder than they need to be, right? Because they're looking like for these most expensive supplement, from the farthest places away and all this other shit. And to me always comes back down to, are you doing the basics well? Right. So when you're experiencing, whatever health challenge you're experiencing in your life, people want to give you all these crazy shit for advice. Right. I'm like, yo, are you connecting with the earth at least 20 minutes a day? Because that will help a good portion of your shit. And that's what people don't understand. Are you drinking quality water? Right? And the right amount of water. And are you making sure that you're getting the right amount of minerals in that water and the electrolytes in that water? Is it structured, all the good stuff. Then are you connecting with the sun? Right? Are you connecting with the fire element? Are you breathing good quality air? That's just the elements. Because if you can't say yes to those, I'm not going to tell you fucking anything else. That's how basic this shit is. It's like, don't try to do X, Y, Z if you can't do A, B, C. Right. I remember, I'll give you an example. I had a lady come in, right? We have our intake form. Like we have, list out some of your major complaints, your issues, whatever. And then on the back, like circle any of the other things that, might have been going on in your life, so we can get like a little bit of a health history of what's been going on. And no joke, like we probably have like 25, 30 things on that second page. She circled, I think, at least 90% of them, like sick. And you could see, like, she looked sick. Right? She's like maybe late 20s, looked hella sick.
Oh, wow.
When I'm looking at her, I'm like, I could tell based on people's skin if you're dehydrated, right? So I'm like, you're dehydrated. I'm like, so I asked her, I don't say you're dehydrated, but I said, how much water do you drink every day? She said, oh, I don't like water. I said, I can understand you don't like water, but I say water is foundational to our health. I'm seeing that you have a lot of symptoms circled here, a lot of like health, like fibromyalgia, inflammation, headaches, all this stuff. I'm like, these are all water things. I'm like, you understand that like you drinking water is probably going to help a lot of what you have circled here. She's like, yeah, but I just don't like drinking water. I said, I don't know if I can help you. It's a fucking truth though. Like, it's like,
yeah,
people like, again, like, And I want to speak to this. I think people on this podcast need to hear it. We have to move away, one, just from the convenience of Western medicine for symptom relief. And that's why I say, like, it's a different path. To me, it's a much more rewarding path, a much more fulfilling path. But I'm not saying it's an easier path, because what it requires you to do is actually seek the truth, to actually seek and find answers, to actually take control of your health. And I think it's so important today that we do properly educate ourselves about our body. Like, we should have a basic understanding of our anatomy and physiology. We should have a basic understanding of what it means to be healthy and what that feels like. We should have a basic understanding of energy. We should have a basic understanding of natural health and healing principles. Why? Because that's where we find our power. I can give you all the fucking money in the world, all the material possessions in the world. If you have health, you have nothing. Mm-hmm. Right? If you don't have your health, you don't have anything, because you don't enjoy it. Right? Because if you're a sick person with the fucking mansion and the Lamborghini and the fucking vacation to fucking Ibiza or whatever else, it doesn't fucking matter at the end of the fucking day if you're too sick to enjoy it. So to me, like, this is the primary. Because I know when I'm in good health and good energy, I enjoy life more. I can live more life per moment. So now it becomes a divine responsibility to be as educated and as empowered and as connected as possible so I can live it. Because when I'm not, right, now I surrender my power to Pfizer, right, to Moderna, right, to Lord Fauci, to whatever the fuck else ever, because I don't know my own health. It's very easy, by the way. If you knew natural health principles, which they're a principle, they don't change, right? We know that you need to be outside, connected to the sun, and being connected to the sun is going to help with your vitamin D. Yet one of the major things that they were talking about during this virus thing, right? Stay inside. They were killing people. Again, if you had any connection to natural health principles, you understand how much bullshit it was. But most people don't fucking know. And so, I don't know, the fucking media said it. I don't know, the fucking news said it. I don't know, man, the WHO said it. I don't know, man, the CDC said it. Those motherfuckers don't care about you, man. They never did. They care about. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you right now, you want to be a powerful being? Understand your fucking health. You understand your health. That's why my main goal has been to empower people in their health, not empower them to need me. No, because that's a fucked up relationship, and that's the dictator doctor relationship that exists right now. Yeah. You come in and I tell you what to do with your health instead of try to help you discover the lessons to why you're experiencing what you're experiencing, and then hold you accountable to fucking doing it. Because everybody else just wants a fucking Band-Aid or wants a fucking handout. Oh, no, just give me the things to take, man. No, fucking take care of your own health.
Let's talk about that.
Help you, be a guide for it. Fuck,
because you talked about convenience, and I think convenience is probably one of the biggest devils of our world right now. I think convenience is the root of a lot of the issues that we're facing as a society and just in our own individual realities, is that we're trading off the value and the reward of hard work for convenience. And when you have convenience, you don't know what your true value is. You don't get to live the good feeling of actually experiencing the reward of you putting in effort into something and discovering what you're actually capable of. You want someone else to do it all for you. And then you wonder why you're so unhappy, and you wonder why you don't think you have any purpose or any value in the world. Well, you've given up your ability to even know what value is because of convenience.
100%. Convenience is a killer, man. So I love that you said effort. So my mentor, living mentor, love him to death, Dr. Marvin Tolsky, he says this: we're here for two primary reasons, right? The human being is here for two primary reasons. Number one, to feel what it feels like to give like God. So let me break this down. To feel what it feels like to give like God. In the God consciousness, the spirit consciousness, there's no time, and there's no space, right? It's all things happening at the same time, right? All things happening at the same time. And there is no other. So when we come into the human form in this third dimensional reality, we have the feeling of separateness.
Mm-hmm.
Even though in the higher, dimensions of it all, we're not, but we have the feeling in this third dimensional reality, Nicole and Brett, we have this feeling of being somewhat separate. So the blessing of that is we have now the gift of what it feels like to give to another. Okay. And so, to me, like, again, it's one of the greatest blessings of being alive is to be of service, to be able to give to somebody else. I mean, that's the joy of Christmas, to see my kids' face light up when I have the ability to give to them. The second one, which I think you're going to appreciate, is to receive only as a result of effort. So again, let's bring this back around in the God consciousness, the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the all-present, with no time and space. There's no effort. It's all things happening at the same time. Boom, boom, boom. Right? And so here, because of time and space, we can have the feeling of efforting and receiving as a result of that effort, which to me, again, leads to way more fulfillment. And we have so many people bitching about the effort. I see, that's why you're here. Mm-hmm. That's exactly why you're here. You're here to effort. Yeah. And so you're wondering why you lack fulfillment. And I like, this is a new breakdown that came in. Fulfillment to fully fill the moment.
I love that.
Well, thank you. That one's for me. All right. To fulfill, we want to be fulfilled, to fully fill the moment. In order to fully fill the moment, we have to have a level of appreciation in contrast. Mm-hmm. Right. And meaning that, again, I'm grateful for all of the feelings that are non-favorable, that I get to feel, because they allow me to appreciate the favorable emotions more. I'm grateful for the effort that it takes to receive some of the biggest blessings of life, because I had that journey. Right. And that journey allows me when I get there, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that fucking journey. I put in some effort here. And wow, here's a reward of woo. And with that said, we also have the rewards and the blessings that can come from the greatness of our being that are not always linear. So I love the non-linear reward as well, which to me is more in alignment with the feminine exponential growth factors. But yeah, I mean, I do want to touch on this because I don't know if it got hit enough. Is on the symptom side. So by the way, glad you mentioned effort. So I like those two principles, Marvin Tosk. Yeah. The symptom side. Both pain and pleasure are messengers. Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, one of the greatest disservices to our health and to our healing that Western medicine consciousness, again, which is colonizing fucking consciousness, did to our health was to make pain an enemy. It's not. Pain teaches us so much. Pain as an acronym, pay attention inside now. It's there trying to alert you to usually, not always, usually a dysfunctional behavior or program or habit or potential injury that's letting you know how you need to adapt so that you can be in the healing. But as soon I'm gonna say right now, I guarantee you right now, 90% of the people listening to this fucking podcast, spiritual as they are and health conscious as they are still taking ibuprofen, still taking Tylenol. I'll tell you right now, you're full of shit. I love you, and you're full of shit. Because if you really understood this game, and it's a challenge, so again, I'm not here to be liked, but you tell me what the healing principles of Tylenol are and how it made you any better. You tell me what the healing principles of your ibuprofen are. You tell me what the healing principles of your Pepto-Bismol. I guarantee you can't fucking tell me.
Well, I love
good.
I want to say what I love that you said way earlier in the show was that you're healing when you're becoming whole. Mm-hmm. That's the healing process is about whole. It's whole, becoming whole. I don't even know how to say it. And that's why they say a holistic practice. Right. Yeah. But I love that because it's not about removing the symptoms.
Right. You have to ask why it's there. I have a fucking headache and it's uncomfortable. Well, good. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
Guess what? This too shall pass. Do you have a headache because you're dehydrated? Do you have a headache because you're stressed out? Do you have a headache because you're starting to get a fever and you're starting to get sick and you actually need to nourish your body or recuperate a little bit more? Why do you have inflammation? Is inflammation bad? Do you have chronic inflammation due to your diet or to something else? Or do you have acute inflammation because you just went and crushed your body and that's what your body's trying to heal itself? So you tell me why, if you can't answer the fucking questions, then why the fuck are you taking the pills? You know, so it's just like, again, it's become this, it's so intertwined in our consciousness, the way that again, people don't understand this. There's only 2 countries in the world that can directly advertise medication to consumer. United States and New Zealand were the only 2 for a long time. I don't know if there's more now, but for a long time, those were the only 2 in the world where you could have direct, right? You guys, I don't watch TV.
No, either. I stopped in 2006.
But it's crazy. Every now and then, right? We'll go to a hotel, right? You know, and our family, kids will watch cartoons and shit. And like, you'll see it even on the kids' fucking shows.
Yeah.
30 to 40% of the fucking commercials are pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
So you grow up with, it's so entrenched in your fucking consciousness that you don't even think anything about it.
Yeah.
It's all garbage. You don't need any of it. None of it. You need none of it. None of it. None of it.
You know, it's interesting when you're asking the question, do you know why? Do you know why? And earlier you talked about how like the Achilles tendon detaching, it obviously, you not only did you have instability, but you also had loss of power, like no power basically in that area. So was there a correlation in your life where you saw maybe you were either feeling powerless or giving your power away?
Yeah. I've learned a lot of lessons. I don't share them all publicly.
Okay. But that was a realization, because that was the first thing that when you said that, I thought, oh, I wonder if this was a correlation in.
Yeah, there was a few things going on.
Okay. All right. So, and I think this is important because I have a book, whenever I'm working with clients, I do a lot of coaching, mostly intuitive coaching. But if I've got someone and they're coming up with all these different things that are going on in their life, I like to look at what are the emotional components. And I almost always use this book to kind of go in and see beyond what I'm already understanding or getting, just to get a broader perspective of like, what are all the emotional components or belief structures that come with the dis-ease of this particular body part or whatever. And it's always spot on, always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What book are you talking about?
It's, oh gosh, I don't have it here, but it's secrets of the body, or secret language of the body, or Inna Segal.
Share it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So
Inna Segal.
Okay. I don't know that one.
But I'll throw it in the show notes, and I'll definitely I'll show you the book after we're done. But it's fantastic. It's an incredible tool to have. I think everyone should have it. It's like you said, like if you don't know your body, if you don't know your health and the fundamentals, like it's like you said, if you can't enjoy your life without your health.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not here to be able to enjoy it, then what's the point? You're not meant to live in pain all the time.
No, you're there to get the pain to receive the lesson.
Yeah.
And the pain will change in quality, right? In quality, quantity, severity, in sensation, in tone as you heal, as you learn more, but again, the job is not just to kill the pain and to kill the messenger. The job is to learn from it. Mm-hmm. And then again, as you learn it and you feel from it, it will evolve, it will change, it will move, it will groove, it will become something new, but it will remain as long as it needs to. And that again, and talk about trust. It will be there as long as it needs to be there, as long as it's there, trying to help you learn. And again, this is where I think guide comes in, and this is what I do, I'm really a guide. right? To help people better explore and understand themselves, right? Because, you know, like say I want to go adventure in the tundra, right? There's some very unique, you know, situations and challenges that exist when you go to the frozen tundra. So I hope you get a guide, you know, and don't go blind. And what if you want to go, you know, do some elevation training and want to attempt Mount Everest? You know, you're probably going to want a guide to help you do that. When you want to explore, you know, some challenges in your life, some health challenges, some healing challenges in your life that feel like a tundra exploration, or feel like an Everest exploration, or feel like whatever that is to you, you're like, you know what, man, I really want somebody to help me through this, you know, to guide me through this, you know, that's where I think we bring in, you know, different doctors or healing facilitators or ceremony specialists or whatever it is, you know, it's like, is a guide to better understand ourselves. And that's the relationship that I would love to see change, you know, in health, is that, you know, that you are the healer, right? The only healer is the self-healer. It doesn't matter what you take, right? What you're given, what you do, what adjustment you receive, none of that. All of that has to be adapted to and assimilated by you, right? Even if you are taking the over-the-counter, you know, medication, what do you think is doing the work to help that work for you, right? So that you could feel better, right? It's like your body is still having to figure out how to break that down and create something positive for itself. And so always remind people, like, hey, you're the healer, right? I just help create the space where you can better heal yourself. You know, and by better healing yourself, you're better understanding yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to see that, you know, be the transition that we are birthing into the consciousness of this new age, because there is a new age happening. There's a new awakening, if you will, and it came through a lot of challenge. It came through a lot of suffering. It came through a lot of manipulation. I hope a lot of people got to see how much manipulation has always been there. And it just got brought to the surface and got brought to the light, and so you got to see it for what it is. But this shit has been there from the start. I want you to know that you can raise completely healthy families naturally. You know, I got a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old. They don't go to the Western medical doctor. What are they going to do for them? Nothing. So they completely have healed everything naturally themselves. Never took an over-the-counter medication, never took a prescription drug, never took a artificial vaccine. They get their nature vaccines, you know? And so it's a way of life, and it's a way of life is understanding how much we are nature, how much a lot of this has been, again, manufactured. And again, it's however deep you want to go into it. But I will challenge you. I will challenge you. I guess the biggest challenge is to just become more aware of your own body, become more aware of your own mind and what you're capable of. And this is why the biggest reason I say it, because I want to help promote empowerment. And I do believe that when you live a nature way, you'll feel a lot more empowered in yourself, right? Your body's ability to heal itself in connection with what is available to you. By the way, all these things are like free. You know, and there's a reason that so many make it confusing, because they know that there ain't no money in the natural way, right? And unfortunately, I got to just do a lot to help educate people and really it's really education through uneducation, because you have to remove all the bullshit that's been put on them.
Yeah, there's a lot of deprogramming that has to happen. A
lot of deprogramming. But with that, I'll speak a little bit to the Healing Codes, you know, community. Really, it's a community that has been built. And so hopefully what you've heard from me throughout this is I'm very passionate, and it's my life purpose, you know, to help, you know, connect people to their body's ability to heal naturally and be healthy naturally. And so I created a program called Healing Codes. And in that, there's like 3 hours on healing principles and another 3 hours on I think 4 hours on foundations and elements. And then through 2023, there's going to be live lessons and where we're going to go a lot deeper. Some will be interviews. Some is just going deeper on a lot of those concepts. And I released it as 1,000 NFTs. And so we did 6 months of development to make it super easy. So you basically go on to a Shopify store where you get to see the whole program. And you just make a purchase like you would normally make a purchase. We still have some pre-sale ones available. Those are $300. And then it goes to 400 and then it goes to 500. There's only 1,000 total. And so as being part of the Healing Codes community, you get access to those live lessons where there's a Q&A again throughout 2023. So that's 52 lessons. Plus, you also gain the ability to be an affiliate. And so we'll release it just as an online program by itself. And so you can get kickback. But really what I'm trying to do is also like kind of create like healing and health coaches, which will be like another part of it, an arm of it that will go through. And one of the reasons we released it as an NFT is also resellability. Yeah. And so if you're interested in, okay, I think I got enough that I want out of the program, and I've got the perks that I want. I'm ready to be done with it. You can resell it. So to me, it's a no-brainer. But that's Healing Codes. You can go to healingcodesnft.com. You can look up all of what's included. We also include access to my program called Move, Breathe, Meditate, which is a 12-week progressive program on movement, breathwork, and meditation, which to me is the key to connection. Mm-hmm. And so I believe starting every morning with some form of movement, breathwork, and meditation is how we stay connected to Creator and how we learn what the priorities of ourself are. And it also includes a program called Health Freedom Academy, which was a program that we launched in 2021, which is with 13 different facilitators, 30 different lessons, which took place over 6 weeks. And that goes deep again on health and healing principles. So all of that's included if you want to partake in that. And again, that's healingcodesnft.com. That's
wonderful. And I love that. I love that about the NFT. That's definitely something I'm looking into as well. And then that the people can resell it and, and pass on and also earn some money back, like it's a perfect concept of really putting power back into the individual's hand, mm-hmm. Which is, mm-hmm. I think just the theme of your whole injury, it's even though it happened at the foot, but, it's just that idea of movement and being able to take off. So it's been a pleasure to have you on, Brett. Thank you so much for being on the show. And to everyone who's listening, I'm going to leave all of that information for you in the show notes below so you can easily get in contact with Brett, find his NFT course, or find him on any social media platforms. It's important to really take your health into your own hands. It's your body, it's your vessel, it's the technology you were given to do everything great in this world. So if you can empower yourself with more wisdom, more knowledge, and apply it and pass it on, it's a gift that will just keep on giving. So guys, I love you. Have an amazing day, and I'll be back with you guys next week. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.